What's going on, everyone? I am the OP Jellicent, and we are team building for ICBA week number 6, up against Matt O'Shea, coach of the Montreal Melodics. Definitely a very threatening opponent. We are actually the top 2 seeds in our conference right now. We are the first seed, he is the second seed, so definitely a very high stakes match right here, because if we do win, we also do secure a playoff spot, which is definitely very exciting to think about. So you can see the 6 Pokemon that I am bringing up at the top of your screen. You can see the 11 Pokemon that he has the potential to bring over on the right. We'll go through his 11 Pokemon, and then we will go through my 6 Pokemon one by one. So let's go ahead and get started with his 11 Pokemon right now. Alright, up first here he has that Battle Bond Greninja, which is definitely a very scary mon. We do have a 1-switch in our team, but it actually does get physical coverage for my Kyurem Black, which is definitely very scary with like Lokik, so I think we're definitely going to play pretty offensively around that. I'm definitely bringing a very offensive team because I have no bulk that can actually take on Ash Greninja very well, so we have a lot of checks to it, but if he brings the correct set, it could get that Battle Bond and definitely be a very scary mon. It is also one of his Z captains, so he can run something like a Z Lokik, but I'm really expecting something like Z Dark Pulse or just like Specs. He also has the Latios, which is his second Z-mon. Those are his 2. Latios, I think if it comes, it'll probably be a physical Dragon Dance set. I know like non-Mega Dragon Dance Latios doesn't make a ton of sense, but it definitely does have a ton of potential against my team. It can carry Earthquake for my Mega Mawile. Obviously, we will have the Intimidate for that. But other than that, it kind of tears apart my roster with the Dragon Claw. The one thing that it really has kind of trouble hitting is a physical defensive Electros, so he'll probably have to weaken that before he tries to do stuff with that. So Latios at +1, I believe, outspeeds my entire roster. The only thing that could actually outspeed it would be something like Choice Scarf Greninja, so definitely a very threatening mon right there. But other than that, it could be something like Subcom Mind. It's definitely a very scary threat too, because it can take hits from Greninja after a few stat boosts. He also has the Blacephalon, which Blacephalon kind of has a sort of good matchup right here. It's kind of stopped by something like Assault Vest Entei, Assault Vest Kyurem Black. But it really does well against everything else. Fire plus Ghost Stab does really well against something like Mega Mawile plus Flagon. It can hit my Gorobus despite with Shadow Ball, something like that. Espadef Kangaskhan could definitely be a nice top to that, but I'm not too worried about Blacephalon this week. I really am not expecting it to come, because it's also choice sets pretty much have to take Sucker Punch from Mawile too, so he would have to run something like a substitute, and it's not a Z move mon, so not too worried about Blacephalon right there. He has the Ferrothorn, which Ferrothorn's kind of annoying. We can carry a ton of fire coverage and just kind of overpower that. We actually have a ton of options. We can run Fire Fang on our Mega Mawile, Hidden Power Fire on Kyurem Black, Entei with Stab, Necrozma with Heat Wave, Flagon with Fire Punch. So definitely a very interesting bring right there. He could bring like an Okaberry set and try to get up Hazards, because I do have quite a Hazards Weeks team with Kyurem Black plus Entei right there. So that could definitely be a very nice option for him. He has the Mandibuzz, which Mandibuzz kind of matches up pretty badly in my opinion. Kyurem Black blows it Black, Mega Mawile kind of walls it too, unless he runs something like Heat Wave, which only does like 30%. And both of those Pokemon just blow it back with Ice Beam plus Player Effort respectively. And really not too worried about Mandibuzz, but it'll really just be there to defog, maybe stop something like my Flagon. He has the Gligar, kind of in the same boat with the Mandibuzz. It's blown back by my Kyurem Black and Mega Mawile, and with Intimidate, it's not even doing that much to my Mega Mawile, so that's very great. And we are packing Ice Punch and obviously Ice Beam for that. So the one thing it could stop is something like my Necrozma. It could throw off a Toxic on that, and if I'm not packing the Hidden Power Ice, which I'm not, it could definitely be kind of annoying. And that's also a really great Flagon switch in, because I don't believe Flagon gets Ice Punch, so definitely a very solid check to that. Silvally all types, which I believe is tier 3 or tier 4, definitely a very strong mon right there. I always have trouble figuring out what Silvally type the Pokemon is, so hopefully that does not come into much consideration right there. But Silvally, great defogger, can really do anything that he really wants it to. He'll probably use it to counter like a specific Pokemon. He could bring like Silvally Steel to help out against Kyurem Black plus Mega Mawile. Could definitely see that being a possibility. And the next Pokemon out here, Ditto, is the Pokemon that I'm really hoping he does not bring, because despite the fact that he has it, the only win cons on my team are setup mons. So I'm really hoping he does not bring Ditto, or my strategy against Ditto is basically pressure it to the point where he's going to be forced to switch it in against something like a Scarfer, and if we can ship that thing down, my setup win condition, which is Necrozma this week, can definitely win the game. He also has the Electivire, which definitely does not have a very good speed tier, unlike Electabuzz, because it speed ties with Kyurem Black, but something like Jolly Entei could definitely outspeed it, and Flagon always outspeeds it too, so it could be a niche mon to like Volt Switch around, but even then I have a ground type, so he would have to really predict with that thing if he brought it. Masquerain, I'm actually facing Masquerain. Well, I faced Masquerain yesterday in the GBAD League. We brought an anti-lead, And I'm not too worried about sticky webs. I'm not bringing like a specific sticky webs anti-lead this week, but we do have two very great versions of hazard control on our team with our Defog Flagon and Defog Rotom Fan, so we can read off with a Scarfer, just break that sash, and then threaten that Mon out, and it shouldn't be too hard to get rid of his sticky webs if he does want to put those up. And then finally Mega Gallade, which definitely has a very nice matchup. I'm kind of really actually hoping he brings Mega Gallade because we have Intimidate Mega Mawile, and I'm hoping he packs Knockoff because I'm actually bringing a very cool set on Necrozma this week. I guess we'll get into my team when I go over that. But Mega Gallade, it's a really great check to something like my Kyurem Black, which is not Choice Scarf this week, so definitely very threatening mon. It can also threaten my Entei pretty well and non-Choice Scarf Flagon, but it could tech something like Vacuum Wave to hit Greninja, but I don't even think that does a ton of damage, so definitely not a very good option right there. Could also hit my Kangaskhan pretty hard. If he's bringing Mega Gallade, I'm sure he'll be expecting some sort of like fighting resist berry. I believe it's Chople Berry plus counter with Kangaskhan, but I'm not bringing that set. It definitely crossed my mind, but it really doesn't match up at all against the rest of this team, so definitely a very big threat right there. It's also threatened by Scarf Rotom Fan, but that's kind of the 11 Pokemon that he has the potential to bring. Definitely a very threatening roster. But let's go ahead and go through my 6 Pokemon now. Alright, up first here we have Mistakes, our Mega Mawile, which I believe this is the first time bringing all season a bulky set. We have 28 attack on there, which ensures that I OHKO the Mega Latios, well, regular Latios with Sucker Punch, just because the only hazards I'm bringing are spikes, and it's obviously immune to those, so definitely a very nice thing to consider, but this thing can definitely do a ton of work. We have max HP and 84 defense with a relaxed nature, which ensures that I can take a Mega Gallade's Earthquake if it's not intimidated, because it does live a Sucker Punch naturally, so definitely a good thing to keep in mind. We're going with minus speed over minus special attack because I don't actually need the speed for any sort of barrier, and I wanted to minimize any sort of Gyro Ball damage from Ferrothorn, so the minus speed nature is definitely the better option right there. And then the rest is just dumped into Spadaf because I didn't really need any other defensive barrier, and the Spadaf could definitely help me clutch out something like maybe a random live against the Latios or Blacephalon. Blacephalon probably kills me every time, but we do have Sucker Punch for that. Other than that, pretty standard coverage. Ice Punch hits Gligar, Fire Fang for the Ferrothorn, and Play Rough just for general stab across the rest of his team. So this thing can definitely do a ton of work if I bring it in on the correct turn. I definitely don't plan on switching it in hard because I definitely want this thing to at least get 1 or 2 knockouts, despite the fact that it has no, like, very minimal attack investment. So hopefully Mistakes can come through this week, and let's go ahead and move on to our win condition. Alright, next up here we have our win condition, and I'm really excited to use this set this week. The idea is he has so many Pokemon that hit beam for super effective damage and activates my weakness policy. Some examples are something like Dark Pulse on the Greninja, which the 92 Spadaf ensures that I live a Specs Dark Pulse with Prism Armor alongside a Specs Blacephalon Shadow Ball. He also has potential Shadow Ball on Latios, Knockoff Ferrothorn, Foul Play on the Mandibuzz, Knockoff or U-Turn on the Gligar, and Knockoff on the Gallade, and he also has Bug Buzz potential on the Masquerain. So many things that can activate Weakness Policy, and if we do get our Weakness Policy up and Rock Polish, Stored Power runs through the entirety of his team, and Heat Wave can hit the Ferrothorn, and Power Gem is there to break through the Mandibuzz and the Greninja. So definitely has a ton of winning potential this week. The 94 speed on there is to ensure that I outspeed a Choice Scarf Latios, no, Choice Scarf Greninja before the Battle Bond. So I definitely want to try to prevent the Battle Bond, but I'm really not expecting Scarf Ash Greninja anyway, just because it's kind of walled by stuff like Kyurem Black. He'll kind of have to predict with that. He'll have to low kick on my switch. So really hoping Necrozma can come through this week. It definitely has the potential. And the one big stop to it is obviously that Ditto. I do want to try to pressure in Ditto with a Choice Scarfer that I have later on, and maybe we can weaken that thing, and then Necrozma can do the thing this week. But let's go ahead and move on to our next Pokemon. Alright, next up here we have Taco, our Greninja, which is running a Life Orb set. Spikes, Hydro Pump, Taunt, and Ice Beam. Spike stack definitely has a lot of potential. He has decent hazard control with Defog Gligar, Defog Mandibuzz, and Defog Latios, so definitely can remove my hazards, but if he's trying to get up Sticky Webs, he doesn't want to click Defog anyway. And Taunt is there pretty much to prevent elite webs. This is definitely going to be my lead in most scenarios, unless I see some crazy thing like Electivire come that could be Choice Scarf and Okomi, so definitely something to keep into consideration there. Max speed, just because I really want to try to speed tie with his Greninja if he is not earning a Choice Scarf set. Obviously after the Battle Bond he will outspeed me, but really there's not much else to say about the set. It's pretty much there just to break holes in his team. Well, not break, just like punch holes because it's not very strong, but the one thing that we don't really hit is the Ferrothorn because we are not running Hidden Power or Fire, but we can taunt that thing to prevent like Leech Seed or hazards going up, and while he can power up me, that's definitely a worthy trade because hazards specifically Stealth Rocks, would definitely be pretty detrimental to my team, because I do have Rotom Fan on this build, as well as my Kyurem Black, which I definitely need to switch into that Greninja. So not much else to say about Greninja right here, just going to try to Spike Stack, prevent webs. If he does bring a Scarf Masquerain and gets up webs, we do have 2 Choice Scarf users on our team that both pack Defog, and they're both immune to sticky webs, so that's definitely going to be very nice utility. And let's go ahead and move on to the first of those, which is our Rotom Fan. Alright, coming up next here we have Big Fan, our Rotom Fan. We are bringing it for the first time this season, which is definitely very exciting. Defog, Volt Switch, Air Slash, and Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is very nice to hit something like Latios and Blacephalon. Obviously, if those are Choice Scarf, we won't outspeed them, and we take a ton of damage from them. I'm pretty sure we die to Draco Meteor from the Latios, but really the primary purpose of this thing is to Volt Switches around his team, gain the momentum alongside my other Choice Scarf user, which is Flygon, which is carrying U-Turn, so definitely very nice to keep into consideration there. As I said, this thing is immune to sticky webs, and we can defog those away at any point in the match if those do seem to be kind of a problem, because obviously I want my Necrozma to be as fast as possible after that Rock Polish, and +1 is not going to allow me to outspeed Choice Scarfers, so I really want +2 at that thing. Air Slash is a great check to Mega Gallade. It won't die after spikes, but after 2 spikes it definitely goes down to an Air Slash if he's not running a ton of bulk, which I really think he has to put a lot of speed investment on that. And yeah, really excited for Big Fan to make its big debut. Hopefully it can do a ton of work. And let's go ahead and move on to our best Ash Greninja switch in, which is our Kyurem. Alright, next up here we have our Kyurem Black, which is my primary response to both the Ash Greninja and the Blacephalon. Now, in the case with Blacephalon, it can definitely weaken for the Ash Greninja, or vice versa, Ash Greninja can weaken for Blacephalon, but I really think this thing can take on both. Unfortunately, because we're Assault Vest, we can't run Roost, but we definitely have coverage for the majority of his team. And the idea is, while Ash Greninja can carry Low Kick, I'm definitely not leaving it in. The idea is, I switch this thing in, take the Dark Pulse, Hydro Pump, whatever he wants to go for, then I switch out into one of my other Choice Scarfers, either Rotom Fan or my Flygon, and then I U-turn out. Now, obviously both of those can take Low Kick very well, so we can switch those in as he tries to do that. But the one scenario that could go bad is if he doesn't click Low Kick and he clicks U-turn with his Greninja instead, and gets out of there and gets momentum, that could definitely be a bit of a problem. So it'll kind of depend on the specific scenario, but I'm definitely not going to switch this thing in and leave it in, because he's definitely going to be prepped for it. He could even run something like a Z move to try to threaten me. Z Low Kick would definitely kill. I don't think any special Z move would be able to knock me out, so that's definitely very nice. He could also carry a Rock Slide, of course, but Low Kick definitely hits very hard, so that's definitely the better option right there. Pivot out with this thing, but it's definitely hard checked by Gallade, and Gallade definitely has a very good matchup against my team. We do have Intimidate on our Mega Mawile, but even at -1, it's 2-hit KOing me with close combat, so I'm definitely going to play more offensively around Gallade and hopefully get it to knock off my Necrozma at some point in the match, so that way I can get that weakness policy and sweep through his team. But yeah, basically this thing right here, primary switch into the Blacephalon and Greninja, not much else to say. Let's go ahead and move on to our final Pokemon. Alright, and finally we have our Choice Scarf Flygon right here, with max attack and max speed Jolly, just to ensure that I can speed tie with Ditto. I actually think I need to check the mechanics on that, because I think no matter what speed I run, we speed tie with Choice Scarf Ditto because it copies my stat, so definitely going to try to double check that, because if it does, then I actually don't need to run max speed and I can change that. But pretty standard coverage. The big step to this thing is obviously the Mana Buzz, very defensive mon, but I'm probably going to be clicking U-turn more than Outrage or Earthquake anyway. And as I said, this is a second defogger that is immune to the sticky webs because of Levitate, which is definitely very nice. And if the scenario does come up where we somehow get rid of the Mana Buzz plus Gligar, and we scout what his Scarfers are, Scarf Outrage definitely does have a lot of cleaning potential, because he has a pretty Dragon Weak team with the Mega Gallade, Latios, Greninja, Blacephalon, all offensive mons that don't want to take Scarf Outrage. And as I said, another scenario that I envisioned, we can switch this thing on to Low Kick from the Greninja as he tries to Low Kick into my Kyurem, and then we can Scarf U-turn out of there and get rid of Greninja or gain momentum. So that's definitely very nice. And yeah, that is going to be the team format this week. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Would you have done anything differently? And yeah, the match will be up tomorrow at 10 AM Eastern, so definitely be sure to tune into that. And I will see you guys then. Later.